Well, I'm not the person you think I am. I am your POV guy who is going to be you today and show you how it feels to climb from the very bottom of Goldman Sachs all the way to the top. Now, I already know what you were thinking about Goldman Sachs, a hell ton of money. That is the first word that comes to mind, right? What is the word of the day? Cash. Haha. And yeah, you are not wrong. There is more money moving through this building in a single morning than most people will see in 100 lifetimes. But here is something most people get wrong about this place. The hardest part is not getting in. The hardest part is what happens to you after the badge works. So you are 22, maybe 23. You walk into 200 West Street in Lower Manhattan, a 44-story tower wrapped in green glass sitting right across from the World Trade Center. There is a 400-foot hallway between the front door and the elevators, and on one wall there is a single painting that cost $5 million. You do not stop to look at it, nobody does, because the person walking ahead of you has a laptop open and has not looked up since the lobby. This is Goldman Sachs, and you are starting at the very bottom. Rank 1, Analyst. Your title is Analyst. Sounds important until you realize there are thousands of you. Goldman gets over 200,000 applications a year for these spots. The acceptance rate is lower than Harvard, lower than Stanford. You beat those odds. And your reward? A desk, a Bloomberg terminal, and the quiet understanding that nobody in this building cares about your potential yet. They care about your output. Your week is not measured in days anymore. It is measured in how many times you ate dinner at your desk. Monday night becomes Tuesday morning because the model is still open and the associate above you wants revised assumptions before the sun comes up. You send it, you do not complain. You fix the font on slide 47 of a pitch book that a client may never read past page 3. And you fix it perfectly because at Goldman, good enough is a phrase that gets you walked out quietly. Somewhere around month 4, you stop being tired. Something sharper takes its place. Your eyes move faster across a spreadsheet. You start catching errors before they are pointed out. That is not energy. That is adaptation. And Goldman was waiting for it. But here is the thing. Nobody tells you. Most analysts leave within 2 or 3 years, not because they failed, because the exit doors lead to hedge funds and private equity firms that will pay you more to work slightly less. Goldman knows this. Goldman designed it this way. You were never meant to stay. You were meant to be sharpened and released unless you are one of the ones who stays. Rank 2, Associate. You make associate and the game completely changes. See, as an analyst, your job was to build what other people asked for. As an associate, your job is to think. You run the models now, you manage the analysts below you, and you sit in rooms with clients for the first time and realize something. All that work you thought mattered, the perfect fonts, the 3 a.m. revisions, that was just the entry fee. The real currency at this level is judgment. Can you look at a deal and feel where it is going to break? Can you tell an MD something they do not want to hear and be right about it? Your hours drop slightly, maybe 70 a week instead of 85. But the weight on every decision doubles, because now when something goes wrong, your name is on it. You spend 4 years here. Some people spend more. And during those 4 years, you learn something uncomfortable. The people who get promoted next are not always the smartest ones. They are the ones who learned how to be useful to the right person at the right time. That is not cynicism. That is Goldman. Rank 3, Vice President. And then comes the Vice President. Now, this is where most people think the movie gets good. Corner office, client dinners, business class flights, and some of that is true, but here is what nobody outside this building understands. VP at Goldman is not the top of anything, it is in the middle. Goldman has over 12,000 vice presidents. 12,000. They promote around 1,500 people to VP every single year. So you walk into a room and introduce yourself as a vice president of Goldman Sachs, and the outside world is impressed. Inside the building, you are middle management with a nice title. Your job now is to hold everything together. You manage the deal teams. You translate what the MDs want into what the analysts need to build. You are on calls at 7 a.m. and reviewing decks at 11 p.m. And somewhere in between, you go to a client lunch where you smile for 2 hours because that relationship might pay off in 3 years. And here's the part that quietly breaks people at this level. Some VPs get stuck, not for a year, forever. The jump from VP to managing director is one of the hardest promotions in all of finance. Goldman only promotes about 500 people to MD every 2 years, and the people who never make it, they stay in a strange limbo, senior enough to know everything, not powerful enough to decide anything. Rank 4, Managing Director. But if you survive it, if you are one of the 500, you become a managing director and the rules dissolve. Your calendar looks nothing like anyone else's. Some weeks, you're in the office every day. Some weeks, nobody sees you at all. You are at lunch with a CEO on Monday, coffee with a CFO on Wednesday, dinner with a board member on Friday. Goldman estimated that it takes 7 years for a single client relationship to actually generate fees. 7 years. And they are trusting you to play that long game. Your compensation crosses $600,000 a year at minimum, often far more. But you are no longer being paid for what you know. You are being paid for who trusts you. And if the calls stop coming, if the deals stop closing, the exit is quiet and absolute. But even this is not the top. Rank 5, Partner/PMD. Above the managing director, there is one more level that most people on Wall Street will never reach: partner, officially called PMD, participating managing director. Goldman selects a new class of partners every 2 years through a process so secretive it has its own name inside the firm. They call it cross-roughing. Current partners review candidates without the candidates even knowing they are being considered. Photos and performance reviews get passed between departments. You do not apply, you do not interview, you either get the call from the CEO or you never find out how close you came. There are only about 400 partners at any given time. They share in a private bonus pool worth billions. Some take home 8 figures a year. A few have crossed into 9. But here is the thing about the partner floor. It is quieter than you would expect. There are fewer conversations because at this level, one sentence in the wrong room can move a market. You do not explain yourself anymore. You do not pitch. You sit in the room where the biggest decisions in global finance are being made. And the reason the room exists is because someone in it is you. And that 22-year-old who walked past the $5 million painting without looking? You finally understand why nobody stops. Because the painting was never the point. The building was never the point. And honestly, the money was never really the point either. The point was finding out what you would become if you never stopped climbing. And whether the person at the top still recognizes the one who walked in, what rank would you stop at? Tell me in the comments.